Hi everyone, my name is Joe Adamski, and this presentation outlines my proposed action research project for EDU 510 at Gwynedd Mercy University. To provide a clear structure, I'll begin with my research topic and guiding questions. From there, I'll summarize key findings from the literature that inform my study. I'll then explain my research design, participant demographics, data collection and analysis plans, and how I'll calculate and present my findings, limitations of the study, and finally, my next steps. My research focuses on implementing student engagement during classroom instruction. Student engagement is foundational to learning. When students are meaningfully engaged, they are more likely to retain content, participate actively, and demonstrate academic growth. My first research question asks, what student engagement strategies will keep my students engaged during class instruction? My second question asks, what strategies will increase instructional efficiency to allow me to better meet the needs of my learners? These questions reflect both student outcomes and instructional effectiveness, which I see as deeply interconnected. Let's take a moment to briefly discuss the supporting literature that I've found so far. One study that informs my research is Increasing Student Engagement, Fraction Knowledge, and STEM Interest Through Game-Based Intervention by Hunt et al. This study examined how implementing a game-based supplemental fraction curriculum impacted engagement. The findings indicated that incorporating structured, content-aligned games significantly improved student engagement. This supports the idea that engagement strategies must be intentional and academically grounded rather than simply entertaining. I also draw from Conquering Math Myths with Universal Design by Mancini, Ruffo, and Martiello. This book centers on universal design for learning, or UDL, and challenges limiting beliefs, what the authors refer to as math myths, that prevent students from fully engaging with content. UDL emphasizes multiple means of representation, engagement, and expression. This framework is especially relevant in a classroom with diverse learners, including English language learners and students receiving learning support. Another key study is Understanding Student Engagement by Mariani et al. This research examined how teacher competence and self-efficacy influence student engagement and achievement in post-COVID classroom settings. Their findings suggest that teachers who engage in professional development tend to demonstrate stronger instructional competence, which in turn significantly influences student engagement. This reinforces the idea that improving engagement begins with reflective instructional practice. I also reviewed Evidence-Based Practices to Enliven Integrated Reading to Writing Instruction by Moore et al., which outlines practical, research-based strategies to increase engagement during writing instruction. Finally, I considered Effect of the Flipped Classroom on English Vocabulary and Motivation by Yu et al. While the results were somewhat mixed due to the short duration of the study, students generally responded positively to the flipped classroom model. Together, these sources suggest that engagement increases when instruction is interactive, structured, and responsive to student needs. My study will utilize a quasi-experimental, exploratory design with a mixed methods approach. This means I will collect both qualitative and quantitative data to gain a fuller understanding of engagement. My participants will include a class of 26 students. 16 boys and 10 girls. 9 students are English language learners and 1 student receives pull-out learning support services. Many of these students come from low-income households. Parental consent and student assent will be obtained prior to beginning the study. To measure engagement, I will collect both objective and perceptual data. Quantitatively, I will use pre- and post-test exit tickets and Likert-type surveys to measure changes in engagement and understanding. Qualitatively, I will gather anecdotal notes and open-ended student self-assessments regarding their engagement levels. Additionally, I will track indicators such as frequency of off-task behaviors, student self-reports of engagement, my ability to pull small groups, and the number of small groups I can conduct each week. These measures help connect engagement not only to student behavior, but also to instructional efficiency. For qualitative data, I will code responses and organize them, likely using color-coded sticky notes to identify patterns and themes. For quantitative data, I will analyze results using descriptive statistics. This mixed methods approach allows me to triangulate findings, increasing the reliability and depth of the study. I will calculate measures of central tendency, including mean, median, and mode, to summarize quantitative findings. Data will be presented in narrative form, supported by tables and graphs to visually represent patterns. The goal is not only to determine whether engagement improved, but to clearly communicate those findings in an accessible and professional way. There are several limitations to acknowledge. First, I am the sole researcher, which may introduce some level of bias. Second, Survey responses depend on student honesty and self-awareness. Finally, consistently tracking off-task behavior may be challenging while simultaneously delivering instruction. Recognizing these limitations strengthens the credibility of the study and informs areas of improvement. I'll be honest, the data collection and analysis process is the most intimidating part of this plan. However, I'm genuinely looking forward to implementing these engagement strategies and discovering which approaches most effectively address my research questions. Moving forward, I will continue reviewing peer-reviewed literature, particularly in the areas of student motivation, engagement strategies, and universal design for learning. Ultimately, my goal is to refine my instructional practice in a way that meaningfully supports my students. And these are the scholarly sources that informed my research design and theoretical framework. Each source contributed either a conceptual understanding of engagement or practical strategies for improving instructional effectiveness. Thank you for taking the time to watch this presentation. I'm looking forward to implementing this action research plan and sharing the results. And as always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.